In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the adjusting sleeve on the tie rods of this Ford E-350. Now you do need an alignment after you perform this repair, and just so you know, the driver's side and passenger side are the same exact procedure and the same part. Let's get started. If your wheel has a hubcap, remove it with a pry bar on the edge here. Just be sure not to pry too far on the edge. You want to push it in a little bit, otherwise it could break. Set that aside. Use a 22mm socket to remove all 8 lug nuts and then pull the wheel off. If your wheel is stuck on, put on a lug nut so that the wheel doesn't come off, and then use a rubber mallet and tap the backside of the tire. Not the rim, you don't want to bend it, but that should make it come off. There we go. Broke free. Take off that lug nut and remove the wheel. Now with the wheel off, we can see the tie rod better, and we're going to remove the cotter pin first. A lot of times these get rusted in place. Looks like mine's still free. However, even if it's in good shape, you don't want to reuse these. Take that out, take this off. Use a 21mm socket, remove this mounting nut. Now use a hammer, tap the side of the knuckle, and that should break the tie rod free from the knuckle. There it goes. Now you can remove it. However, before I completely remove it, I'm going to leave it in here, and I'm going to loosen up the sleeve that locks this in to the other tie rod. Use a 15mm socket to loosen up the 2 bolts clamping on this sleeve. You don't have to remove these, just loosen them up. At this point, you should be able to spin this around. Sometimes they do get seized on the back side here. There's going to be a split. In this split, I'm going to put a pry bar, tap it in with a hammer. There we go. Now I can turn this, and I'm going to turn it so I can see it. Because mine is so rusted, I'm going to use a lot of rust penetrant, let it soak for a few minutes so that the threads can lubricate a little bit. Take that pry bar, hammer it in here. Doing this will open up the sleeve. Try to work those threads back and forth. Now with it like this, I can finish removing my outer tie rod from the knuckle, unthread it from this sleeve. Keep in mind, this one is reverse threaded, so you're gonna have to go clockwise to remove it, and count the amount of turns it takes to remove it, so when we put it back, it goes on the same amount of turns, and it gets you close to a good alignment. "32 turns for me." Of course, it's not going to be the same for you, but whatever number you had, remember it. Now let's remove the sleeve. These threads are not reverse threads, unlike the ones that we just removed. So turn it counterclockwise, count the amount of turns it takes, and remove the sleeve. 32 turns for me, which is exactly what we did to remove the outer tie rod. That's exactly what you want. You want these sleeves with the inner and outer tie rods to be clocked perfectly together so that you don't have a little bit of thread on one side and a lot of thread in on the sleeve on the other side. You want them as equal as possible. I like to put a little bit of grease or anti-seize inside of the sleeve before we install it. This will help the alignment professional turn the tie rods a lot smoother, and it'll prevent all this rust buildup that we had previously. Apply some to the tie rod as well, threads. Now take the sleeve and make sure you have the correct side, because if you put it on backwards, this is going to be the reverse threaded side and it will not thread onto this end. And turn it the same amount of turns it took to remove it. Right about there is where mine was. Put a little bit of grease or anti-seize on the inside of the threads for the outer tie rod. Install the clamps that clamp on the sleeve. There we go. Now put the outer tie rod on the same amount of turns it took to remove it, and keep in mind that it's reverse threaded, so go counterclockwise to turn it in. Take the tie rod, put it in the knuckle. Get the castle nut on. Let's snug it up. 66 foot-pounds is the torque for this mounting nut. Just let this spin all the way, it'll bottom out. There we go. That's torqued. However, this being a castle nut, you want to make sure that the slot for the cotter pin lines up with the nut and the stud. Mine actually lines up perfectly right here, but in case yours does not, you want to continue tightening this mounting nut until the next slot does. You never want to loosen these to line it up. Slide the cotter pin through, and of course, let's bend it over to lock it in. When we tighten these clamps up, you want to make sure that the bolt lines up with this cutout on the sleeve, 18mm socket, and 17mm mounting nut on these clamps. Snug them up. .41 foot-pounds is the torque for both of these. Hold the bolt just in case it spins. That's it. Let's put the wheel back on. Put back all 8 lug nuts, snug them up in a cross pattern to seat that wheel, and then also in a cross pattern we're going to torque these to 148 foot-pounds. A 148 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. Here we go. Double check them if you want. There you have it. Now install the hubcaps if your vehicle had some. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you line up this cutout here with the valve stem. And there you have it. Now don't forget to get an alignment.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.